In a league where offseason headlines are usually dominated by contract disputes, quarterback controversies, and rebuilding turmoil, the Seattle Seahawks chose a different narrative, one of quiet confidence and stunning cohesion. While other franchises juggled absences and drama, the Seahawks made a bold yet calculated move. They ended their final OTA sessions early, not out of frustration, injury concerns, or scheduling conflicts, but because everything was operating ahead of schedule. Head coach Mike Macdonald, in his first offseason at the helm, effectively declared the mission accomplished for now. And that decision speaks volumes about the state of this team. Seattle's full attendance sessions and undistracted execution have sent a subtle but potent message across the league. This team isn't waiting until September to figure things out. What's unfolding behind closed doors isn't just efficient, it's foundational. The Seahawks are no longer operating under the remnants of their previous identity. They've retooled, reshaped, and perhaps most importantly, reimagined who they are and how they want to win. The most striking transformation lies within the offense. Gone are the familiar names of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. In their place is a new energy, a blend of youth and untapped potential that hasn't yet received national attention, but should. At the core of this shift is quarterback Sam Darnold. Once cast aside as a journeyman, Darnold has been given the keys to a fresh opportunity, and it might be the best fit of his career. His time in Seattle hasn't been about cautiously managing an offense, it's been about commanding one. Darnold isn't here to maintain stability, he's here to rewrite expectations. The Seahawks' faith in Darnold wasn't about stats, it was about intangibles. According to team insiders, the leadership surrounding Geno Smith had stagnated. There was a hunger missing, a fire that couldn't be rekindled. Seattle didn't want someone to simply fill a void. They wanted someone to set a tone. Darnold has reportedly done just that. After a rough early OTA showing, he rebounded swiftly, sharpening his reads and syncing up with key targets like Jackson Smith-Njigba and veteran newcomer Cooper Kupp. With offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak's system already familiar to him, Darnold has stepped into the role with notable command. He's not just learning the playbook, he's running the huddle. However, as Darnold begins his possible career resurgence, there's a quieter yet equally compelling storyline developing behind him. Rookie quarterback Jalen Milroe. Far from passive or patient, Milroe has approached OTAs like a starter in waiting. Rather than accepting a redshirt role, he's creating one of the most interesting quarterback dynamics in the league. His work ethic is already becoming the stuff of legend. Reports from inside the building say he arrives at the facility before dawn, walking through progressions and reads solo while the rest of the team sleeps. Offensive coordinator Kubiak praised his self-driven attitude, noting how nobody has to push him. Milroe pushes himself. It's not just the effort that's turning heads. From rookie camp to OTAs, Milroe's technical growth has been tangible. His footwork is tighter, his release quicker, his reads more decisive. For a player many believed would need a season or more to mature, he's collapsing the learning curve with every sunrise workout. If this trajectory holds, Seattle could face an enviable dilemma: stick with the seasoned veteran in Darnold or lean into the high-ceiling dynamism of their rookie. Meanwhile, in the wide receiver room, another unexpected story is forming. When Marquez Valdes-Scantling signed with Seattle, it was written off as a depth acquisition. At best, a reliable veteran presence. But what the team has witnessed in OTAS may be rewriting that script. MVS has showcased precision, polish, and timing rarely seen from a player who bounced between teams last season. He's been separating in drills, hauling in passes with conviction, and offering a consistent outlet for Darnold. Former Seahawks receiver Michael Bumpus aptly described him as smooth, a word that now carries weight in a post-Metcalf offense. In a unit that suddenly lacks household names, MVS's resurgence could prove essential. With the receiver hierarchy wide open, his ability to translate OTA dominance into training camp performance could tip the scales of Seattle's offensive identity. But that's only half the equation, because while the offense is finding itself, the defense is undergoing a transformation of its own, one that may define how far this team can actually go. As the offense retools, it's on the other side of the ball where the Seahawks' transformation becomes even more pronounced. While the national conversation has focused on quarterback battles and receiver turnover, what's quietly unfolding on defense could redefine Seattle's competitive ceiling. The shift isn't just strategic, it's cultural. And at the center of this defensive reawakening is Ernest Jones. Acquired through a trade few outside the Pacific Northwest paid attention to, Jones has wasted no time asserting himself as the anchor of Seattle's defense. His impact has been both vocal and visceral. He's not easing into the playbook or waiting for training camp to turn up the intensity. He's leading by example and commanding respect. From the very first OTA session, Jones established himself as the emotional pulse of the team. Veterans and rookies alike are feeding off his energy, while coaches are increasingly turning to him to set the tone. His arrival didn't just fill a positional need, it sparked a behavioral shift. The ripple effect has been immediate. Linebackers are communicating with greater clarity. Defensive backs are aligning more decisively. Even linemen are responding to the standard Jones is holding them to. Jarran Reed, Seattle's longest-tenured defensive lineman, credited Jones for bringing structure and sharpness to meetings and on-field execution. For a player still in his mid-20s, it's a rare kind of presence, one that elevates not just individual performance, but group cohesion. Yet, if Jones is the fire starter, then Reed is the stabilizer. His influence extends beyond highlight plays or veteran savvy. He's become the team's silent architect of culture. Reed has taken on a mentoring role for younger players like Byron Murphy II and Tyrese Knight, challenging them in film sessions and guiding them in drills. His approach is understated but effective. He doesn't chase attention, he commands it through action. In a locker room now full of emerging voices, Reed's steady leadership is serving as the glue, holding together personalities, expectations, and standards. Still, for all the progress the Seahawks have made in reshaping their culture and roster, one major concern looms: the offensive line. Beneath the optimism and breakout stories lies a positional unit that may determine whether Seattle's offensive evolution holds or collapses. What was once considered a reliable and well-structured front is now showing signs of instability, and not the kind that gets resolved quietly. The most glaring development is at center, where Olu Oluwatimi, previously projected as a starter, has begun losing first-team reps to Jalen Sundell, an undrafted, relatively unknown name. That shift caught analysts and teammates off guard. It raises a serious question: is Sundell ascending that quickly, or is Oluwatimi regressing under pressure? Either scenario presents risks. For a quarterback like Darnold, who relies on clean interior protection to manage tempo and execute play action, uncertainty at center is a dangerous variable. Meanwhile, the situation at right guard has grown even murkier. Sataoa Lamia, expected to solidify his spot after a promising start last year, has reportedly fallen behind Christian Haynes and Anthony Bradford. Both challengers have taken noticeable steps forward, but the decline in Lamia's standing suggests more than just healthy competition. It points to a fluidity and perhaps volatility along the line that could compromise cohesion when live reps begin. For a team that's pouring effort into building offensive chemistry, especially with a new quarterback at the helm, these trench battles take on even greater weight. Seattle's passing attack may boast emerging targets and renewed leadership, but none of that matters if the pocket collapses too soon. The offensive line is more than just a physical barrier, it's the rhythm maker of the entire offense. And right now, its rhythm feels uncertain, which brings us to the broader picture. Seattle's offseason narrative has been defined by bold moves, culture resets, and individual reinvention. From Sam Darnold's resurgence to Jalen Milroe's early grind, from MVS's resurgence to Ernest Jones's leadership surge, this team is redefining itself in real time. But it's not all resolved. There are still questions about durability, depth, and consistency. The defensive leadership appears solid. The offensive skill positions are beginning to mesh. But in the NFL, everything starts up front. So the question becomes, will the Seahawks' new identity hold once the real games begin? Can Darnold maintain control if the offensive line struggles? Will Milroe's rise create tension or bring inspiration? And can this defense turn cohesion into dominance when it matters most? Drop your predictions in the comments. Who do you think becomes the unexpected star in Seattle this year? Will the offensive line stabilize, or will it be the Seahawks' Achilles heel? If this team is truly being overlooked, the rest of the NFL may be in for a surprise they never saw coming.